In the name of God, who is most merciful and most gracious, I am Zubair Khan and you are watching my vlog. Mr. Kareem Khan, Chief Prosecutor of International Criminal Court, has made tall claims in this video. Will he be able to deliver absolute justice in this cruel world? For that, we have to wait. How he is ensuring accomplishment of absolute justice, you can listen and watch in this video.
This is a perilous moment that the world is facing. Around the world, we see human suffering. We see an absence of peace and a burgeoning amount of conflict, heartbreak, and devastation. When one casts one's eyes to the Bangladesh-Myanmar border and looks at the plight of the Rohingya, and then turns to the left and sees what's happening in Ukraine, when one looks and sees the rising tide of extremism in the Sahel, the events in Mali, the rapes that are taking place in the DRC, and of course, the devastation, the stunning, heart-wrenching pictures that have been coming out of Israel and Palestine, the West Bank and Gaza, one wonders, where has peace gone? As prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, I comply with the law. Our mandate is to try to ensure, within the jurisdiction of the court, that the law is on the front lines. The law is not reserved for lawyers in ivory towers, and the ICC cannot be a jurisprudence factory. But with all the emotion that is out there, my message is this: the ICC is actively investigating situations around the world, including the Palestine situation. We also have jurisdiction, I've stated quite publicly, in relation to the events of the 7th of October in Israel, if they're committed by the nationals of state parties, Palestinians or any other state party for that matter. And we have to ensure that these basic minimums, these are not highfalutin ideals, these are not aspirations that should fill us with joy. It is an indictment on us that in 2023, as we send rovers to Mars, as we are doing phenomenal work with vaccines like the COVID vaccine and medical science, that we have a court that is dealing with medieval crimes, genocide, the intent to destroy a group in whole or in part, war crimes, or crimes against humanity, including the crimes of persecution. And yet, unfortunately, we need the court more than ever, because there is this proclivity that the rule of law is seen as an optional extra. There's this tendency to view international law as an a la carte menu, that we pick and choose from it when we like it, when it serves a strategic purpose, but we ignore it, we wantonly close our eyes or turn away from it when it represents an impediment to a short-term political goal or a medium-term national interest. The realization surely is now, as we see major conflicts around the world increasing, not diminishing, that a more principled approach is needed to apply the law more consistently, even if it comes at a short-term national cost. Because if we don't, in my very sincere view, the idea that our children, God willing, will cure the mistakes of this generation or past generations could be a fatal assumption. Because when one talks about a nuclear-armed world, the idea that things can't get worse is one that must be understood, must be contemplated. So this is a time for action. It's not a time for hot air. It's a time for people to feel the shelter of the law, which requires partnerships. The demand is too big to leave to any one state, any one institution. Justice is too important to leave to the prosecutor of the ICC. It's too important to leave to the judges of the ICC. Injustice, in terms of this solidarity, this movement of principle, fairness, representing that every human life matters equally, there can be no bystanders. There can be no spectators to inhumanity. This is a moment where we should find solutions. I have said very publicly that we are investigating the taking of hostages and the allegations of terrible killings and heartbreak in Israel on the 7th of October. I have said repeatedly Hamas should remove and release immediately hostages. I have said repeatedly, Israel must not target civilians, hospitals, schools, mosques, synagogues, churches, Red Cross facilities, Red Crescent facilities. And I have said very clearly that immediately humanitarian supplies must be allowed into Gaza. I'm not alone. The Secretary General of the United Nations has said precisely that. The head of the Office of Coordination of Humanitarian Assistance has said exactly that. The head of the World Health Organization has said exactly that. The head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community has said exactly that. His Holiness the Pope has said exactly that. The Archbishop of Canterbury has said exactly that. So the burden is upon all of us, not to point fingers, not to say somebody else is going to be part of the solution, but to show that the law is not for the lawyers, but is for humanity. And in that quest, it is my prayer that voices of peace prevail, and the old adage that there could be no peace without justice is rendered vivid and actionable. But that requires your support and a belief in the value of every human being, regardless of race, religion, nationality, or gender.